Well, she's back. I told you she would be, though. So when I say Leah Stiegler's coming back, she's coming back. And for those of you who weren't here last week, please go listen to our podcast. We were talking about leave of absence, medical leave of absence, and how we sometimes interfere with that time that people take off. But today we're going to talk about the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. And I always have to say that slowly because, Leah, you know, it's just acronyms everywhere.
Well, at least you're not turning it like I've heard people say FEMLA for Family Medical Leave Act, and so like this would be PWFA, and I don't like that.
No, but it's an important topic because as we talked about last week, the Family Medical Leave Act has very strict guidance on how we approach and what kind of paperwork we get and all that sort of thing. But boy, the pregnant worker is the most protected person in the workplace. And the PWFA is a program all to itself. You really can't compare it to ADA or FMLA.
Absolutely. I mean, as a management side employment lawyer, you know, we deal with lots of litigation defending employers who are sued by employees and former employees. And I will tell you, the worst type of case is when I have a pregnant worker on the other side of the aisle, because they often get a lot of sympathy from a jury. And I mean, you're right. There's everything from state law protections to the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to family medical leave, and even the ADA sometimes too, if they have medical issues that are comorbid, like postpartum depression or something, so all these laws come into play. It's just a tripwire of situations that employers need to be mindful of.
Well, and PWFA was established under the Biden administration and has its own set of rules that I don't believe we're thoroughly training our supervisors on. And as many times as you and I have said, the boots on the ground are making 90% of the HR decisions. It's not HR because it's going through that team lead. It's going through that supervisor first. And the case that you and I referenced in the pre-show meeting, that was a supervisor who made some really bad mistakes for whatever reason involving a pregnant worker. So let's take a moment and just help the audience regroup on exactly what they need to be thinking about.
Sure. Well, let me first say this. You are exactly right that the law was passed at the end of 2022, went into effect in June of 2023, which is kind of sad. Let me tell you this, that Congress only first recognized that women get pregnant and need accommodations. It took them until 2023. So it is it was long time coming. Historically, we had the pregnancy non-discrimination law. And all that said was employers can't discriminate against pregnant workers. But the way the courts worked around it to require employers to consider accommodations, even though that law didn't even mention accommodations, is to say that, hey, if you accommodate a disabled worker or maybe a worker on workers' comp, accommodate them with light duty, that if you don't accommodate a pregnant woman who needs light duty, for instance, then you are discriminating against her. And so we had this workaround created by the courts. So it wasn't until 2023 where federally Congress said, wait a minute, no, we actually are going to require that employers accommodate or at least engage in an interactive process similar to that under the Americans with Disabilities Act to try to find reasonable accommodations for pregnant workers. And that it even applies post-birth, right? Childbirth related medical conditions that may need to be accommodated as well.
Well, and I think that's the confusion. And I'm not trying to label, but it tends to be the males who are listening to this information and don't quite understand what pregnancy is all about. And PWFA focuses very, very tightly on the 40 weeks of gestation.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, one thing that's interesting is, you know, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, if an employee says, hey, I need extra breaks, let's say they work on a manufacturing floor, I need extra break time during the day due to my medical issue. Well, it's very common to say, okay, well, here, take this ADA paperwork, go to your doctor and get this filled out, or have a doctor's note that says you need these extra breaks because we only provide 2 15-minute breaks in the day. So this would be an exception to our policy. Well, under the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, the law basically says you can't force an employee to go get evidence proving that they're pregnant. Okay. So we do take the woman's word for it in this sense. But also you really can't require documentation for all these just very basic things that we as a society know are associated with pregnancy, like the need for extra breaks or more frequent bathroom breaks, more water breaks, light duty, morning sickness. So maybe adjusted schedules or work from home to deal with stuff like that.
And you hear the exact same thing that I do. Well, I know that she's just exaggerating, or she's just faking it, or I just think she's milking this. I mean, I have heard every whine that could possibly be associated with this. And my response is normally, not much you can do about it.
Yep.
Leah, have I missed? I mean, is there a better way of saying it?
No, let me tell you this, Pandy. My wife is currently pregnant and she's 4 weeks pregnant. And I will tell you that I am experiencing all the pregnancy symptoms. Not I am actually having the symptoms, but I am the bystander supervisor. She wouldn't let me call myself a supervisor, but I am the bystander coworker watching her have these symptoms of extreme fatigue and just nausea, all the things that they talk about. And I'd like to tell you this is a scam. She's just getting out of having to take the trash out or something. But we don't, you might be able to have those conversations in your home life, right? But
Yes.
but with your spouse, but not not in the workplace. If a pregnant worker says, "Hey, I can't lift more than 10 pounds or I can't take the trash out for, at the restaurant," then you know what? You take their word for it and you say, "No worries, we're going to accommodate this." Because the other thing about pregnancy, where the law, pregnancy, it's much harder under the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act for an employer to say, "You know what? This accommodation is not reasonable," versus under the Americans with Disabilities Act, is because pregnancy is temporary, Pandy. This is what I've heard. I've heard it's temporary. It's up to 9 months. So, so and basically the laws is like, look, I mean, if you have to have another employee take the trash out, or you have to give this person a more flexible schedule for 3 or 4 months during the last few months of their pregnancy, or give them light duty, that's not going to be burdensome. But if you wanted to just jump the gun and terminate them, by the time you draft a job description, post the job, interview people, make an offer, bring that person on and train them, your pregnant worker would be back ready to come back at full speed.
Well, and last week we were talking about a CEO that went out on leave. So getting back to your undue hardship, there really isn't a position where you can't get by or make accommodations if it's a pregnancy.
Yeah.
Now, God forbid there be any major medical concerns after the birth, but you'll deal with those then. As of right now, until the baby's born, you're dealing with PWFA and the guidance during gestation. And you and we were kind of chuckling because we were looking up. There's 100 symptoms that can occur of conditions under pregnancy. No one's going to know all those.
Right. And people might have medical conditions, pre-existing medical conditions, for instance, or genetic issues. Maybe there's trouble with the birth, right? So every situation is going to be a case by case basis. I don't know if you've had to deal with this, Pandy, but you might have a supervisor who's like, "Oh, come on, my wife or
Oh gosh, yes.
I myself had 3 children, and I just sucked it up and threw up in the trash can in my office and kept going through work." Okay, well, that's good on you that that you're a superhero, but
Yeah.
this worker may be experiencing something different, or it's affecting her body differently. And so you're going to have to accommodate that need for breaks or something. And if someone's asking for an accommodation that would be deemed unreasonable, that we'd be putting them in a chair all day and paying them to do nothing. As a last resort, an employer can have that person go on unpaid leave as a reasonable accommodation, but it has to be the last resort. You can't jump the gun and find out someone's pregnant and needs light duty, and then all of a sudden you say, "Okay, you're out on leave,"
Well, and explain to the audience, when can they ask for medical certification? Because there's a window on that as well.
Yeah, so exactly. So one, you can't say, go give me a doctor's note that proves you're pregnant, or pee on this pee test, which I have had a client, they
Oh,
thought,
no, 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 no.
yes. Well, I thought it was creative, Pandy. They thought the employee was lying to get out of, like, because she had already had a history of tardiness, and she was starting to become even more tardy, and so they were ready to terminate her, and the employee said, "Oh, I'm actually pregnant. I'm dealing with morning sickness." Now, her tardiness had gone on for 2 years now, but they hadn't really addressed it very well. And so they were like, "Well, we don't believe she's pregnant. She's just asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told her this is how she can, not get fired. So we want her to pee on a pregnancy test." And I said, "Absolutely not." Creative, but no. So
Oh, go ahead.
no, so yeah, so you can't force someone to prove that they are pregnant. And I don't assume someone's pregnant either. That's also an awkward conversation. Let them come to you.
I've been doing this for over 40 years, 45 actually. And only one case was a false pregnancy where
Mm,
she told them that she was pregnant. And we kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting. And yeah,
yeah.
it
Well,
never happened.
did she claim that maybe she had a miscarriage or?
I forget the story, but
Yeah,
she wasn't out of work. I mean, there was just
yeah,
no physical signs that there was duress or problems or anything.
sure.
Um, and and then I had another ugly story where individual said that the company was retaliating against her, and therefore she lost her baby because
Mm,
of all the stress from work and the conditions of work and such, and that was fun to deal with. But
yeah,
again, out of 45 years,
yeah.
that's that's means that likelihood, if she says she's pregnant, she's pregnant.
Yep, just exactly. And where you can ask for documentation. So I would say don't ask for documentation related to the things that we all know as a reasonable person are associated with pregnancy: morning sickness, break time, light duty, stuff like that, right? Appointments that people may need to leave work for.
Good
Um,
point.
if it's something absolutely unique that, I mean, this is why you need to be able to call someone like you, Pandy, or me as an employment lawyer to do a gut check on, hey, is this something I can ask for and medical documentation for? I had a situation representing a law enforcement agency where they had a female police officer who was pregnant, and she was a patrol officer. So she's out in the car doing traffic patrol, night loops, things like that. That's a dangerous situation. You have to have your weapons, your taser, cuffs, all of that. And what she wanted was not an accommodation necessarily to not wear I thought it was going to be the safety vest, because that can be extremely heavy, right? And at some point your bump is enough, pregnancy bump is enough that you can't actually wear that. And so you do generally go on light duty in law enforcement, but which may be desk work or administrative work for the last few months of your pregnancy. But this was early on in her pregnancy. She wanted to still be a patrol officer, but she refused to do administrative work, but she wanted an accommodation to not have to carry her gun or bullets because of the fear of lead being near the fetus. And I was like, okay, this I can see the nexus here. Like, I get it, but I don't think this might, one, be unreasonable to accommodate, to have a patrol officer out there without a weapon. I don't know how much you're going to do with, a taser, and I don't know if we have time to train her in bow and arrow and archery. So this is one we're going to have to maybe push back on and offer other accommodations, or see if she can get a doctor's note that certifies that there's some sort of maybe protective gear that we can get her that she can wear between her gun and her belly, for
Yeah.
instance, or her uterus. So
Yeah. Yeah. I I'm just sitting here going, and would that even be arbitrable if there was a grievance? I
right,
don't even know.
right. Oh,
That would be a stretch. And I've heard individuals being fearful of being around the computer too much. I
mm,
mean, I get that, but again,
sure.
reasonable, and again, with 100 different symptoms, you're going to, at some point, if you stay in this career for very long, you're going to have to partner with someone and just say, hey, what do you think? Or what have you heard? Or what do you know about this? How limited is this? I mean, carpal tunnel, back pain. To your point, there are some things that we don't see with every single person. Everybody is going to be different. So you can't necessarily compare, but PWFA is not going away.
Right.
It's not. And I think the important lesson in this is that there is a lot to learn, and there is a lot that we should be talking to our supervisors about and making sure that they are comfortable just kind of backing away and say, let me check on it for you. Let me make sure that's, what we can do for you.
Yep. Tread carefully is my advice. So thanks for having me, Pandy.
Leah, you're always welcome. Hey, next time though, let's not wait till you've got baby pictures. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get you on here sooner. Oh, and you audience, please keep sending in your questions. Send in whatever you think is important should be talking about. So thanks again for watching. You've been watching The Human Resource.